Hello, BookTube. I went to the Brattle Bookshop yesterday, but I've had real-world guests here, and that's distracted me from telling you about what I found. And what I found four big fat books, and they underscore an aspect of the Brattle Bookshop. For those of you who are new to the channel, the Brattle Bookshop is a used bookstore here in Boston that has 3 floors of well-priced used books on every subject under the sun. Third floor is antique and collectible books. The first 2 floors are the normal stuff of a used bookstore. And in addition to that, they have a sale lot next door that is full of bargain book cards, $1, $3, and $5 bargain book cards. So not just the usual 1 or 2 such cards that you might get at a used bookstore, but a whole lot full of them. And one of the things that I love about the Brattle, in addition to all the new stuff I see there, stuff that I've never read, that I want to try, and that because of the prices are so good, I can try, is the way the Brattle feeds second chances. The Brattle is a great place for second chances for me, because I cycle through a lot of books, and sometimes, months or even years later, I want a book that I have cycled through. I had a copy and I sent it to somebody, or sold it, or whatever, and now I want it again. And the Brattle helps with those second chances, and all of these books are that. All of them are. So I want to show them to you. The first one is a UK trade paperback. I love UK trade paperbacks. Something about the quality of the paper, the heft of the binding, even the cover design sometimes, although in this case the cover design is almost identical to the US version. Something about them I just like. But that's not the main reason that I got this first book is because I had gotten rid of the review copy, the finished copy, the paperback. I got rid of them all to people who wanted to read it more than I wanted to keep it. But I want to reread it. And this was a perfect second chance. This is Sid Mukherjee's The Gene in a UK. This is from Bodley Head. Yes. This is the UK trade paperback of The Gene. His story of not just the investigation and the history of the discovery of what genes are and what genetic makeup and genetic operations are, but also his fantastically lively explanations of what the science is, of what genes actually are, what they do and what they don't do. I loved it when it first came out, and got rid of all my copies. So when I found this, that's a second chance that I couldn't pass up. And then the next one is a second chance that I didn't know existed. I didn't know that this book was out in a Penguin trade paperback. I should have known, but sometimes publishers, even if you rave about their book, they don't always remember to send you the paperback. And I don't go to bookstores anymore the way I used to. I certainly don't. I used to go to retail bookstores, new retail bookstores, and just pour over the shelves. Every book, every inch. I'd take hours. I don't so much do that anymore because the books tend to come to me. So I missed this one, and it's The Deluge by Adam Tooze. This is a big book. It's a fantastic book about the long-term social, cultural, and especially financial ramifications of the First World War. This is a financial historian his books are incredible. They are just amazing. Peter Hitchens, I believe, referred to this book as Clear Mountain Air History. And I know exactly, as soon as I heard him say that, I knew exactly what he meant. Because this is not boilerplate, it's not padding, it's not filling, it's not regurgitating the work of anyone else. It's just an amazing work. And it's written with a very clear, precise English. I loved it when it came out originally. I don't remember the year, 2016, 2015, something like that. I believe it made the list for my best books of the year, and I didn't know that it existed in a paperback, and my hardcover is long gone to someone who wanted it. So now I have this thing, and it'll do just fine as a reread. And then this next one is a bit exorbitant, but when the Brattle's prices are so low that exorbitance is called for. This is a Norton Critical Edition of War and Peace. This is the mod translation of War and Peace. It's a big, fat thing, and there were a couple of reasons that I got this. Because this is the first edition of the Norton Critical Edition of War and Peace. And Norton Critical Editions, we've seen them on this channel, they give you the work, and then they give you the critical text. So historical backgrounds, some key writings by the author about the composition of the work, initial critical reviews, and later critical reviews. And there's a second Norton Critical Edition of War and Peace that I have up on the shelf there, that is taller and thinner than this by a good deal, and it has a couple more critical essays in the back. Look, I put a bookmark where the critical essays start here. It's virtually nothing of the book. The second edition of this, which was done I think 20 years later, has more essays, more critical apparatus, but even though it's a taller paperback, the print size is smaller. Whereas this, the first one, it does have some supplementary material, but it's mostly just the book. And it's squatter in the hand, and the print size is bigger. Most of the book is taken up with War and Peace. And I like that. I had this version once upon a time, and somebody was here visiting and wanted a copy of War and Peace. And, you know, as I've mentioned on this channel, I like to do more than just proselytize. I like also to say, I like to preach and also provide. So somebody says, I really want to read X. What I like to do is say, you really should, it's really good, and here are the reasons why. But then I also like to hand it to them. I figure once I've done that, once I've not only praised the book, but actually given them a copy, that's all I can do. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him read. So I wanted this one because this is all of War and Peace. It's mostly War and Peace with the critical apparatus in the back. And I thought I would take this, if I ever found it as a double, I would get it if it were cheap, and it was dirt cheap. That was one of the reasons why I got it. Another one of the reasons why I got it is because of its original owner. Parker Morse put his name on the book. And you might think, well, students put their names on books all the time. Why would that be an incentive for you to buy the copy? And the reason why is because once he was done putting his name on the bottom of the book, he put his name on the side in Cyrillic. that I simply must have. I had to have it anyway. But then I opened it to the beginning. On the very first page, he mentions the exam date. So he was obviously a student. He was obviously reading this for school. But on the title page, he has a quote. "This book is more important than life. Have you read it, cretins?" In quotes. From J. Epstein. So even I once had this edition, but even if I'd somehow, by some fluke, found my original edition, I would still have wanted this one instead. So I got that. And then the last of these big 4 books that I got is crucial. Absolutely crucial. And I've given it away many times to people who want to study the work that it's about. This is by George Wilson Pearson. It's from decades ago. When is this? When was this? Yeah, 1938. This came out from Oxford University Press. And it's Tocqueville in America. Big, enormous thing, in which Pearson goes through Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America, page by page, paragraph by paragraph, anecdote by anecdote. And not only narrates what's going on in the book, but then does what footnotes in Democracy in America would do, which is to flesh out everything, to use sources other than de Tocqueville, to flesh out everything. And so it becomes an amazing companion. I still don't know anything like it. I still think it's indispensable. If you want to read and really study de Tocqueville, I don't think you can do it without this book. And you may remember when March of the Mammoths was starting from March, now it's winding down amazingly. One of the mammoths that I mentioned, I could have been talking about a mammoth every day on this channel, but one of the mammoths that I mentioned was de Tocqueville's book, which I had just reread. I regularly prowl that Penguin Classic shelf. I regularly do that. It's one of the only bookshelves that I regularly go through. I regularly prowl and pull down some of those books to reread them. And I like that experience. I like the fact that the new book reading that I do in the meantime can sometimes inform the rereading of a Penguin Classic so that it feels new. That's a wonderful feeling. And I reread recently the first half of de Tocqueville's book and just loved it. Just loved it. I was struck again, in fact, more strongly this time by its narrative energy and also its humor, which you don't often see. You don't often remember it. Students tend to think of it as a dry and dusty book. But when I was rereading it, I was thinking, boy, I wish I still had a copy of Pearson, just to go over parts of it again myself, and sometimes even to read the whole thing, because Pearson's a wonderful writer. So when I saw this, I grabbed it. Who knows how long I'll keep it? But that was my Brattle trip that was yesterday that I forgot to tell you about. And it was all second chances. It was Tocqueville in America. It was The Gene by Sid Mukherjee, a fantastic popular science book if you haven't got to it already. It was the Norton Critical Edition of War and Peace, and it was The Deluge by Adam Tooze, who is a currently working historian. I highly recommend. If you haven't read his work, I highly recommend it. And that's it. It was just a quick Brattle trip. I don't know when I'll be back to the Brattle. Maybe this weekend, when warmer temperatures are predicted. That would be nice, not to freeze your giblets off when you're out in the sail lot. But one way or another, as soon as I go, you'll be the first to know. And in the meantime, we have lots of other stuff to talk about, so I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.